The final point had barely landed when the security guards braced themselves. The sea of Philippine flags that had been waving throughout the match suddenly surged forward. Thousands of Filipino fans who had traveled from Vienna, from Munich, from across Europe poured onto the court at the Design Center Linz. They weren't waiting for an autograph session. They weren't waiting for a formal meet and greet. They were rushing to embrace their hero. Eala had just delivered a performance that left the tennis world speechless. Her first professional victory on clay, a 6-4, 6-3 dismantling of home favorite Julia Grabher. But the scoreboard didn't tell the full story. It was the way she played, the precision, the composure, the refusal to break under pressure. And when the match ended, the fans couldn't contain themselves. Security scrambled to form a barrier. Tournament officials looked on in disbelief. In Eala, the Design Center Linz had never seen anything like it. For 35 years, the Upper Austria Ladies Linz tournament had welcomed some of the biggest names in women's tennis: Martina Navratilova, Serena Williams, Maria Sharapova, Angelique Kerber. But when Eala stepped onto the indoor red clay for her first-round match against home favorite Julia Grabher, the atmosphere was something else entirely. An estimated 35,000 to 45,000 Filipino fans had already arrived in Linz days before the tournament was scheduled to begin. They came from Vienna, where the largest Filipino community in Austria resides. They came from Germany, where over 100,000 Filipinos live and work. They came from Switzerland, from Italy, from the United Kingdom, anywhere a direct flight could carry them. They booked hotels, filled restaurants, turned a quiet Austrian city into a celebration of Filipino pride. And when Eala walked onto the court, they erupted. The first set was a battle of nerves. Both players held serve through the first 9 games, neither willing to give an inch. Grabher, fighting to end her 5-match losing streak at the Linz Open, threw everything she had at the Filipina. She earned breakpoint chances in 3 of Eala's service games, testing the young star's composure at every turn. But Eala refused to break. She saved 9 breakpoints throughout the match, each save a testament to her growing maturity. At 5-4 in the first set, with Grabher threatening to force a tiebreak, Eala delivered the breakthrough. She seized the opportunity, breaking Grabher's serve to take the set 6-4. The second set was all Eala. She raced to a 4-1 lead, her confidence soaring with every point. Grabher, to her credit, refused to quit. She broke back to make it 4-3, and for a moment the momentum shifted. But Eala was unshakable. She broke back immediately, then closed out the match 6-3. The final score? 6-4, 6-3. 1 hour and 42 minutes. Eala had done it. Her first
white cross. Referee supervisor, and on the side who's gonna probably call in. It's relentless pull.
The moment the final point landed, the Design Center Linz transformed. The thousands of Filipino fans who had packed the stands didn't just applaud, they didn't just cheer, they surged forward, pressing against the barriers, reaching out toward the court. Security guards, who had been preparing for days, braced themselves, but they were overwhelmed. The crowd had swelled to nearly 3 times the arena's capacity throughout the tournament, and now, with Eala's victory secured, the emotions that had been building for hours finally spilled over. Fans climbed over barriers, they rushed past security, they flooded onto the court, their flags still waving, their voices still raised in chants of "Laban, Alex!" Tagalog for "Fight, Alex." Eala stood at the center of it all, her eyes wide, her smile never wavering. She reached out to fans, touching their hands, accepting their embraces. She signed autographs on hats, on shirts, on anything that was thrust in front of her. Tournament officials scrambled to restore order. Security guards formed a human chain, desperately trying to create a path for Eala to exit, but the crowd refused to disperse. They had come to see their hero, and they weren't ready to let her go. The scene was chaotic, emotional, and unforgettable. It was the Eala Effect in its purest form, the power of a diaspora that had found its champion, the devotion of millions who had finally found someone who looked like them on the world's biggest. What makes Eala's relationship with her fans so unique? Why do thousands of Filipinos travel across continents, spend money they've saved for months, take time off work just to watch her play? The answer lies in connection. Eala left the Philippines at 12 years old to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Majorca. She sacrificed her childhood, her comfort, her proximity to family, all for the chance to chase a dream. She climbed from number 140 to number 29 in a single year. She defeated 3 Grand Slam champions in one tournament. She became the first Filipina to crack the top 50, then the top 40, then the top 30. And along the way, she never forgot where she came from. She wore the sampaguita in her hair at Wimbledon. She spoke Tagalog in her post-match interviews. She thanked her fans in the Philippines, in Dubai, in Los Angeles, in London, wherever they gathered to support her. In Linz, that connection was on full display. After her victory over Grabher, Eala addressed the crowd directly, speaking in Tagalog to the thousands of Filipinos who had traveled to see her. "Thank you for the support. I'm really happy with how they've welcomed me and the Filipinos here. I guess we match really well. I'm really thankful for the hospitality," she said. The words were simple, but their impact was profound. For the fans in the stands, hearing their hero speak their language, acknowledge their presence, thank them for their support, it was validation. It was proof that they mattered. She understands that her fans are not just spectators. They are part of her journey. She sees them, she hears them, she appreciates them, and that's why they love her. The bond between Eala and her fans is not manufactured. It is not a marketing strategy. It is genuine, authentic. The scenes at the Design Center Linz were unprecedented, but they were not surprising to those who had followed Eala's career. The Eala Effect had been documented for months. Packed stadiums, crashing ticket systems, merchandise that sells out in seconds. At the Australian Open in January, Eala's first-round match on Court 6 drew queues that wrapped around Melbourne Park, forcing security to turn away hundreds of fans. Tennis journalist Jose Morgado called the decision to put her on a small court just dumb. In Dubai, ticket sales jumped 48% year-on-year, a spike directly attributable to Eala's presence. Tournament director Salah Talak admitted, "She attracted a new demographic to the tennis, and the stadium was sold out for all her matches. People were desperately trying to get tickets, but they were all gone. We've never seen anything like it." At the Miami Open, Eala's jersey sales accounted for 57% of all merchandise sold, more than every other player in the field combined. The ticket system crashed on the day sales opened, overwhelmed by demand from Filipino fans. But Linz was different. The arena's capacity was just over 5,000. The crowd outside had swelled to nearly 3 times that number. And when the final point landed, the emotional release was too much for security to handle. "It was chaos," one tournament official said, "but it was beautiful chaos. These fans weren't angry. They weren't violent. They just wanted to be near her. They wanted to touch her. They wanted to tell her how proud they were." Security eventually managed to escort Eala off the court, forming a human shield around her as she made her way to the locker room. The euphoria of Eala's first-round victory was short-lived. In the round of 16, she faced 4th-seeded Jelena Ostapenko, the 2017 French Open champion and a clay court specialist. The match was a roller coaster. Eala controlled the early exchanges, building a 4-2 lead in the first set. But Ostapenko, showing the resilience that had defined her championship career, rallied to win 4 straight games, taking the first set 6-4. The second set began as a masterclass from Eala. She raced to a 4-0 lead, then extended it to 5-1. She was just one game away from forcing a deciding set. The Filipino fans in the stands erupted. Victory was within reach. Then the unthinkable happened. Ostapenko, showing the nerves of steel that had defined her championship career, broke Eala's serve to cut the deficit to 2-5. The momentum shifted. The Latvian raised her level, systematically dismantling Eala's defensive game. She won the next 5 games, closing out the match 7-5. The final score? 4-6, 5-7. 1 hour and 43 minutes. Eala had come so close. She had played her game, executed her strategy, and for 80% of the match, she had been the better player. But tennis is cruel, and on this night, the comeback belonged to Ostapenko. When I saw the draw, I thought, wow, that's a tough opening round for me, Ostapenko said after the match. I was down in the second set, and I told myself, okay, I'm going to fight.
The Linz Open ended in heartbreak for Eala, but her clay season was just beginning. Just hours after the loss, news broke that she had been promoted to the main draw of the Porsche Tennis Grand Prix in Stuttgart after world number 37 Chen Wen-zhang withdrew due to injury. The Stuttgart field is stacked with top talent, including world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka, number 2 Jelena Rybakina, number 3 Coco Gauff, and number 4 Iga Swiatek. But Eala has faced top competition before. She has beaten Swiatek. She has pushed Gauff to the limit. She belongs on this stage. The clay season stretches before her: Stuttgart, then Madrid, Rome, and finally Roland Garros. The challenges will only get harder, but after her performance in Linz, Eala has reason to be confident. She is not there yet. The gap between her game and the elites remains, but she is closing it. And matches like the one against Ostapenko, competitive, dramatic, and hard-fought, are exactly what she needs to continue her development. I think I kept the intensity well throughout the match, Eala had said after her win over Grabher. That intensity will be tested in Stuttgart.
Eala delivered an insane performance at the Linz Open, winning her first professional clay match in front of thousands of adoring Filipino fans. The 6-4, 6-3 victory over home favorite Julia Grabher was a statement win, proof that her game could translate to the slower surface, that her patience and defense could frustrate even the most powerful opponents. But the real story was what happened after the match. Thousands of fans rushed the court, overwhelming security and turning the Design Center Linz into a celebration of Filipino pride. The chants of "Lob on Alex" echoed through the arena long after the final point had landed. Eala's run would end in the next round, a heartbreaking 4-6, 5-7 loss to Jelena Ostapenko after leading 5-1 in the final set. The Latvian, a clay court specialist and former French Open champion, completed a stunning comeback, winning 6 straight games to seal the victory. But the loss did not diminish what Eala had accomplished. She had won her first clay match of the season, she had shown the composure of a veteran, and she had captured the hearts of millions with her fighting spirit. The clay season stretches before her. Stuttgart, Madrid, Rome, Roland Garros. The challenges are real, the competition is fierce, but after her performance in Linz, one thing is clear. Eala is no longer just a hard court specialist. She is a tennis player who can compete anywhere. And wherever she goes, the fans will follow. What do you think about the fans rushing the court to meet Eala? Have you ever seen anything like the Eala Effect? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to Rally Radar now for daily